everybody, welcome to Shivers and Shivers Speaks. Today we're doing a movie review on the new movie Beetlejuice or Beetlejuice 2. This movie, I absolutely loved it. Before there's any spoilers, if you want to just hear the rating, just fast forward to the end and you'll hear the actual rating. But for the story itself, so we pretty much follow all of the same people from the original Beetlejuice movies. So there's Lydia. Lydia now has a child named Astrid. We have Delia. We have Charles. Charles and Delia are Lydia's parents, or something similar to that. We have Rory, who is now Lydia's partner. And we have Jeremy, who's this little boy, not little boy, but boy who Astrid meets along the way. We have Beetlejuice, and then we have this lady named Dolores. So there's really all of our characters. So when it comes to the story itself, we start by looking at Lydia. She's doing all of these ghost hunts. She has this new TV show. She's essentially the psychic medium of like a paranormal investigation. And we start the show by seeing her set, which I think is very creative and very fun. So Rory, who is her boyfriend, partner, he works on the show with her. And we see her go into the bathroom, have sort of these visuals, and she's still able to see all of the ghosts, similar to the ghosts that she saw in her attic in the original Beetlejuice movies. But there's a layer of like, leave me alone. So she starts taking some pills in the bathroom, trying to do everything that she can to quiet these ghosts down. So we move on. Rory's kind of saying like, don't take pills. I got your back. We're good to go. She gets a call that her dad, Charles, is dead. So she has to go home to their house. So it's the same house from the original Beetlejuice movies. We go back to the house. Delia is in New York at this art exhibit. So along the way, we go and pick her up. I am a big fan of Schitt's Creek. And Catherine O'Hara is Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek. One of the biggest cameos in this movie, I think, and one of the things that really sets it over the edge is that for any Schitt's Creek fans, the funniest scene almost ever is when Moira Rose is the bird in the Crow movie. And we get a glimpse of that when she's in her art exhibit. So she's standing at this art exhibit, flapping her hands and her arms as if she's a bird, which is just such a great call to Schitt's Creek. So already it's hilarious because anybody who's seen that is acknowledging that. And then we move on. So we pick her up, we go to the house, they have the funeral. Charles has been killed by being in a plane crash. He survives a plane crash, but then he gets eaten by a shark. So this just very outlandish death. Astrid doesn't believe in Lydia's skills. She doesn't believe that she can see ghosts. She thinks it's all bullshit. So she essentially is just this rebel. She goes and rides her bike around town. She runs into this kid, Jeremy. They hit it off. And then she decides to spend Halloween night with Jeremy. Lydia says, yeah, no problem. Like, I'll pick you up at X amount of time. And then Halloween night, Lydia finds out at pretty much the same time that Astrid finds out that Jeremy is actually dead. So this is the first actual ghost that Astrid is able to see, and she can't really believe it. She doesn't really put two and two together until he tells her. So they have the handbook for the recently deceased. He says, oh, this is everything that we need to know to bring me back to life. So Lydia's last husband, partner, Astrid's father, apparently died somehow, some way in the Amazon. And one of the reasons why Astrid doesn't believe in Lydia's gifts is because she's like, if she could find any spirit and talk to any spirit, it should be my dad. And she can't find my dad, so she's all bullshit. So one of the reasons why Astrid agrees to help out Jeremy is because he's like, I'll take you where your dad might be. If he is dead, he'll be down here in this land of the unknown. So we'll go and find him. So she agrees. Lydia drives to the house at the same time, realizing that he's dead, and misses her opportunity to save Astrid. So now Lydia has to call upon Beetlejuice to sneak her into the land of the dead to save Astrid. So, of course, Beetlejuice is happy to help. All the while, in the meantime, this lady named Dolores, this absolutely stunning lady, is sort of put back together. And we find out that she has been married to Beetlejuice before and tried to kill him. So he killed her first. Now she's back to life, or unlife, and she's looking for Beetlejuice so that she can continue on with her plans. So she's running around in the background. We are now with Lydia and Beetlejuice in this underground world, and Astrid and Jeremy are all on their own journeys. Moira Rose / Delia is doing her own thing at the house. Rory, who is Lydia's partner boyfriend, has proposed to her, and he's like, life is short, I want to get married on Halloween, which is a day away. So she's like, yeah, no problem, I gotta take care of something first, and then I'll be back for our wedding. Very nonchalant about all of it. So they're in the underground world, lots of trials and tribulations, so much creativity with the art, with the characters, with the makeup, with everything that we see down there. And then, very long story short, we save Astrid. We bring her back to life. They're able to see Lydia's past partner, Astrid's dad. He is in fact dead from a piranha attack in the Amazon. And Beetlejuice is doing everything that he can to really help them. So he wants to be able to marry Lydia. So he has her sign this contract, and that's the only way that he will help get Astrid out. So they get out of this other world. In the meantime, Moira Rose, Delia, has purchased these venomless snakes, and all at this expense of honoring Charles, her late husband. She goes to his grave. She plays with the snakes. They're not venomless, and she gets bit, and now she's dead. So she pops up into the world of the unknown, and she's like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, I paid extra for these snakes to be real and not have venom in them. And basically everybody down there is like, well, you're just a fool. So she runs into them in the underground world and helps as best that she can, but now she has to stay behind. So she finds Charles. He's bitten in half by a shark, and they essentially live happily ever after in the underground. There is this whole wedding scene that plays out between Lydia and Beetlejuice before Dolores shows up. Dolores then finally shows up and does what she can to eliminate Beetlejuice. It doesn't work. And then Astrid saves her mother, saves everybody. Everything has that very happy ending. Beetlejuice gives Rory the truth serum because now is supposed to be the wedding between Lydia and Rory. And Rory's like, I never loved you. I just love your money and your family's money and your production company. And I thought that by being able to marry you, that I would at least get half. So she calls off the wedding with him, of course. And Astrid has these beautiful dreams of getting married and having her mom there and having the support and their relationship rekindling, all with a lot of crude humor influenced by Beetlejuice. So movie ends and everybody's happy, everything is good. A very happy ending, a very creative movie. I cannot say enough good things about it. I, of course, love Tim Burton. I think that most of what he does is very original, very creative, very different, and it's in a good way. Like, what Tim Burton does is good. And I've never been the biggest fan of Beetlejuice 1 from the get-go. I'd much prefer like The Corpse Bride or Nightmare Before Christmas or anything like that. But this second Beetlejuice is exactly the breath of fresh air that we need for gothic creativity to come back into cinema. I do not have a single bad thing to say about it. I think adding in that element of Moira Rose just makes it 10 times funnier. And I loved it. I think that even if you have not seen Beetlejuice 1 for whatever rock you're living under, you can absolutely still see this movie. I think if you liked it, a lot of the feedback that I got from the people who went with the group as Shivers for the opening night of Beetlejuice 2 was that if you compare this movie to the first one, it is just so wildly different. So if you're going into it with the expectation that this is just going to pick up with more classic Tim Burton Beetlejuice vibe, you might have different expectations by the time you're done. But for anybody who is just kind of going in there open-minded, or someone like me who appreciates Beetlejuice but doesn't love it, this is sort of that amazing moment leaving. So in terms of the actual Shiver scale, so for production, this is a big movie. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of extras. There's so many things to look at, to see. Absolutely give that a 5 out of 5. For scares, I would give that a 1 out of 5. It's not a scary movie whatsoever. It is one of the funniest movies I've seen in a while. It is very funny, very crude humor, everything in between. This is a great first movie for tweens or teens. I would not show this to really anybody who's like under 10 because of just a lot of the jokes. There is some cursing, there is some blood, but it's relatively innocent. So for acting, this would get a 5 out of 5. This is a star-studded cast. Everybody did a really great job. Everybody took their role seriously. I think Rory is the only one who would be a little bit iffy just because he seems so absurd, but I think that's more of the point. So everybody gets a 5 out of 5. For originality and for the story itself, also a 5 out of 5. I mean, Beetlejuice as itself, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the original, it is an original movie. It is an original story. It is something that hasn't been done before. And this just continues on with that. So, of course, the story itself and just how original it is gets a 5 out of 5. So, this altogether gets 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 out of 5. This is the highest movie that we've rated out of movies that have come out in the last 2.5 years or however long Shivers has been in existence. So, it really goes to tell how cool of a movie this is. And I think being able to be out at the beginning of September does a really great job at kicking this movie off as a good welcome to Halloween season. So that is my review for Beetlejuice 2 or Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this movie, if you loved it, hated it, have expectations going into seeing it, whatever your thoughts are. But as always, thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.